And it's just a matter of figuring out where my live is. There we go. Okay, testing to see if anybody can hear me. Okay. Might hear a little bit of playback in the beginning there. Had the other screen on. I do sound a bit low, so I'm going to ramp this up a bit. Let me know if it's too loud, because I just turned it up. There might be some delay between me speaking and you guys replying. Alright. Let's see, who are we drawing today? Still need to upload these characters. Quite a number of them. But yeah, if there are any issues, just test measures to see how long the delay is. Okay, I'm going to say the number 4, and when you hear that, type in 4. So 3, 2, 1, 4. See how long it takes for you guys to reply to that. Okay, not too bad. It's like a minute. Okay, so it takes you guys about a minute to hear what I'm saying. That's not too bad. Maybe even less than that. I would say like 30 seconds to a minute. And my volume isn't awful. Like it's not like blaring in your ears or anything like that. Right now I'm just looking for a character to draw. Oh, you know what? I know who to pick. Because I've been meaning to do this for a while. All good? Okay, cool. Let's grab you. Here's your file. There you are. Okay. Because I have been wanting to rework this character for a while now. Alright, sorry for that. Just making sure the stream is doing alright, or going as well as I set it up. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing good today. Yeah, I mostly want to rework how she looks entirely. Or not entirely, but like, I still like the whole stitched up look, but I think making her tall was just kind of like a meh decision. And I kind of want her to be a little bit more toonish to her design. Ooh, you know what? I know a good way to start this. Veteruscy is not as similar to her siblings. It's mostly because I already gave like the whole tall angle to like Jam and some of the other characters, so I was like, we need more shorties. And I can still put bags under her eyes to make it look like she doesn't sleep much. One of the reasons why I wanted to move or start streaming on YouTube, it just makes more sense. I have well, more viewers isn't exactly the right answer to that. It's just more people follow me on YouTube than they do on Twitch, so it just made sense. I might still use Twitch for something, maybe gaming or something. I mean, I could use YouTube for the exact same thing. Maybe if I ever get the ability to multicast, then I'll do that. I don't like the length of those eyelashes. Let's swap let's change it up. Let's do like the single. Either single or maybe I'll just make them shorter. Yeah, shorter seems better. Because sometimes I save the single ones for certain other characters, like Clover. Yeah. There we go. Let's be a little bit more tame on that. Ooh, no, I got a better idea. Let's make it look like she's judging you. Because she's into the whole taxidermy thing. So maybe like you bring her something that you want to be taxidermied and she's all staring at you going like, huh. Well, I got the first 3 done for the first round. I just don't know if I'm moving on to the second round or not, because they're not gonna announce that until the 23rd of June. So I'm pretty much just slowly working on the next episode in the off chance that I do get picked. So it's it's completely up in the air until next month. And I still want to give her the jagged tooth. Okay, that's a piercing. I was like, what the hell is that? It's been a while since I looked at it. So yeah, I'll still give her the jagged teeth and the piercing. I'll have that up and check it every once in a while. But yeah, the contest is whatever at this point. Like, I wish there was more communication with it. Like, obviously it's gonna take them a while to decide who gets to move on to the next round, because they're only picking, I believe it's like 40 people. And if my math is right, there was like over 3,000 entries, if I remember correctly. It's been like a week since I did the numbers. So it's gonna be a while. But the contest itself, like, seems like Webtoons is kind of on and off about what they're doing with it. Because like if you look at the app for it for the contest, it's like push down or very difficult to find for some reason. On desktop, it seems easier to find because I mean you can only upload via desktop anyway, so I guess it makes sense to make it easier. But I don't know. I don't know what their goals are, whether it's to try to get more IPs or if they're doing the contest for a different reason. But we'll see in a month. Anyway, still want to give her that loose shirt. I do want to put something on her neck this time around. I'll add her hair once I get her body straightened out. No, I'm thinking of moving completely to YouTube because it just makes more sense for me because I have more followers on YouTube to begin with, even before streaming at all. Like the last time I streamed was like when Undertale came out. So whenever that was. Kinda a break, not really, because when they announce when whoever gets moved on to the next round, you only get like 22 days to work on your next 2 episodes, because the deadline for that I believe is July 14th, if I remember right. And so you basically should be working on your next episodes between now and when they tell you whether or not you're moving on. So you technically don't have a break. It's like, let's see you working on it before you even know if you're moving on. More likely to catch trolls. I honestly don't care. If they're gonna troll, they're gonna troll. I mean, at the end of the day, it amounts to nothing. 2015? Yeah, that sounds about right. From when I last streamed on YouTube. And even then it was a short stream. Like, I ended up deleting it because I just did not like just recording myself playing Undertale. Then I don't know, I mean, this is a personal problem. This is just me not liking the way I sound on audio. But that's a me thing. But I would like to just focus on art or whatever the case may be. Chili Pomus? Did you mean chibi? Not necessarily chibi, or chibi version, but just a rework, because I didn't want her to be. I don't like her being tall and lanky. So I'm just gonna rework how she looks. My voice is better. No, it is not. I know that for a fact. We'll fix that in a moment. Move the placement of her legs. How are we gonna redeem the outfits? Don't worry about it. Like every once in a while, I'll just change her just for the hell of it. But for today, we're just gonna chill with her with Becky's defaults. Or maybe I'll just change based on what I'm drawing. Which I guess by that logic, I should be using none Becky, since Palmas is a divine type character. So fuck it. We'll switch to none Becky for now. As soon as this thing loads. Come on. There you go. And then switch to the Thibel. Alright, there we go. Oh, streamer Becky. I'd have to make that first if I was gonna do that. I'd have to draw out the PNG for my PNG tube thingy to work. But yeah, that's not a bad idea. I can make that a thing. Maybe use like that one for when I do a stream of just like a game or something. And I might change her feet to match the original. But right now I'm just doing this as a placeholder. You can always make the new version of Palmas like still have the same mannerisms and posture and stuff like that than the original would have. Like I'm not gonna like scrap the original, I just won't be using that version unless something comes up that would have me use that version. Change her to have the prayer pose. I could do that. It'll just take a little bit of time. Yeah, when I have the time, or maybe for a stream, we'll work on that. Do that for fun. Add a little bit more curve to this. Well, you gotta save those ideas for yourself. You can't keep having them whenever I'm doing something. Because you also gotta think, whenever I'm doing something, that's me using an idea, or whenever I'm streaming. That's me going, hey, this was a good idea, let's do it. Which is often. Well, then there you go. Just be sure to make time to like try to learn new skills or try to like improve anatomy and stuff like that, or whatever it is you think that you're lacking in. Because the worst thing you could, well, not necessarily the worst thing, but like one of the things that could become an issue with for you over time, and this can go for like anybody, um, is feeling complacent with where you are, even if it's like at like an extremely low level. Like you don't want to just be like, okay, this is as good as I can get. I'm never gonna try to do anything better, and you just stay that way for like 20 years. Oh, yeah, I can close this. Don't need that open. Because that's always a possibility. Okay, what else can we play? We'll do this. And to be fair, if your artwork is like stylized or just has like a unique look that doesn't really need to be it to like it to be advanced along or needs to change, then by all means stick with it. Like, stick with what works for you. As long as you're satisfied with how it is and all that, and you're not just staying where you are because you think you can't do better, then that's perfectly fine. Like if you think, no, this is what I want, this is the peak art style that I want for myself, then yeah, stick with it. Like don't ruin that just because you think you have to change. Because there are plenty of times where something has changed just for the sake of changing, and a lot of times it's for the worse. It'd be like, oh, your character was peak, and then for some reason you change it to where your character has a streak of green in their hair, and now their eye colors are two different colors, and they're taller or something, or I don't know, whatever the situation may be. Like, don't just do it to do it. Do it because you think you can do better, or something wasn't working before, and you're tweaking it just to be optimized. And another thing is, like, every once in a while, like, look at a picture that you really like and try your best to mimic it. Like, you don't have to, like, one-to-one copy it, but try to see if there's bits of it that you can lift and adapt to your own art style. Actually, that ship's a little too busty. Let's ignore this. Because she's not supposed to be. She's not supposed to be that big. I don't know where we're going. Where her stomach is. Like me, for the art tutorials that I've been watching and stuff like that, I need to take time to actually try to copy the style just to see if I can even do it, instead of taking bits and pieces of something and then throwing it into my own stuff. Shrink down the neck just a little bit. Seriously, this music just makes me think of Metroid, and it's not even a Metroid game. Yeah, sometimes even if you think it's not working out, you just gotta like play through it and get to the end, and then once you get to the end, you'll basically have reference of what you did, and you can see what worked and what didn't work, and then tweak it, because it's better to get the experience than to not do it at all, because if you give up midway, or you just decide to not try because it wasn't working out, then you miss out on gaining the experience of just trying. So sometimes it's better to just try and it not looking good than to never continue, because then you're missing out on something you could have learned from. My normie profile. Let's see. Because she's holding the thread. But yeah, like, best I can say is just, do what works for you, and as long as it's what you want, and you gave your 100%, then more power to you. Another YouTube profile. Why do you have why do you have to make another one if you already got one? Are you doing shady shit? I like the concept of inspiration, but unfortunately the sketchbook is too small to draw off. I see. Okay, I know I clicked on extended, but how long are these? Oh, Jesus Christ, this is like 30 minutes. Okay, I'll wait. I'll do like 10 minutes each of these. So 3 more minutes from now. Alright. I'll change it in 3 minutes. Because I'm sitting there going like, yeah, this song's great, but when's it gonna move over to the next? And then I realize like, oh yeah, I clicked on the extended. How long do people make these? It's like a half an hour, and you're like, fuck. Not that that's a bad thing, but damn, half an hour is a long ass time. Because the originals are like, what, a minute, 2 minutes, maybe 3? And her thumb would be like up here, I think, for this one. Yeah, it wouldn't be visible because of the lower finger. Sometimes the canvas has a say in it. That's often why people sketch out what they want to do before they go like the full thing, because that way they can tell how big they want to draw it on their canvases and rough it in and stuff like that. But yeah, digital does have its perks. I'm basically redesigning Thomas because I don't like her being so tall. Although I don't like the position of her head either. So let's change this. Here, move it. Plus, I figured let's have a little bit more short characters for Creamfield. But yeah, I've felt that I already had enough tall characters. And it just made more sense for her to be shorter. Not because she's a mouse, but just, I don't know, just the overall feel for the character. Like, I still want her relatively thin, but I wanted to redesign how she looked. And I can always use, like, the tall version for something else. Well, there's already, Pineapple. I have to switch this song. There's already Pineapple who's also short, so Grape was never, like, the only short one. But just to be sure, let's look at the list. So we already have Lemon Lime, who's short, Grape who's short. Kiwi's pretty short too, but she is taller than those two. Pineapple, I would say Nere. Yeah, so that would be, so if we don't count Kiwi, it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Having Palmas be short would balance that out to be another to be a fifth short character. You liked her willowy design? Yeah, like I said, I might save it for something. Like maybe use it as like a doll, so that way she can pretend to be tall. So she uses it like a puppet. So yeah, that way I can keep both, but still have the version that I want to use. Grape was queen of the shorties. Well, Grape is still the shortest of all of them. And I would say the tallest out of the shortest would be Kiwi, if we count Kiwi. If we don't count Kiwi, the tallest would probably be Lemon Lime. I would say between Lemon Lime and Palmas. Oh yeah, I like Huon's Luna run so far. Kind of like came out almost out of nowhere. It was just like, oh, here's a shit ton of Luna. I was like, well, damn. It's like they woke up that day and they woke up with the mentality of Phineas from Phineas and Ferb. He's like, Ferb, I know what we're gonna do today, and that idea just expanded for like a week or so. Okay, so we got those. Oh yeah, need to do the rest of her feet. And I didn't know that the Overlord movie came out already, so I watched that not last night, but the other night. Oh no, it was last night. I had to think about that. I was like, no, it was last night because I was talking to my friend this morning about it. That's why I got lost for a moment. Honestly, it's not so much the size, it's just understanding your sense of space, I guess would be the word for it. Me, I have the bad habit of always drawing in the middle of the page. Like I'll literally draw the head of a character in the middle of the page, and that's always been my bad habit. I've gotten better about it over time, but for the longest time I was like always drawing the characters from the middle of the page, and I was like, damn it! And I wouldn't like notice until I started drawing the character's legs. Hello. Hello, welcome. Welcome to the first stream on YouTube in like 10 years. A lot of things happened 10 years ago, damn. Let's slim down her arms just a little Yeah. Don't let something like that stop you from drawing. It's something you'll either figure out or grow out of, so no worries. That's one of the things of being an artist, you have to problem solve. If something's bugging you enough where you're like, alright, I need to fix this, you'll definitely figure out the answer. Put a palm right here. Okay, now the question is, do I want to give her more of an outfit than I did before? Because I still want the loose shirt, but I kind of want to put other stuff on her. I think it'll be asymmetrical, so I'll do like one side gets something and like the bottom part gets like the opposite end, so that way it doesn't have to be the same. I'm not gonna go up her thigh. I switch. At least YouTube's a little bit more lenient on drawing nudity. So I'll have to refresh myself on their rules, but I should be able to draw, like, you know, boobs every once in a while. Like, as long as I don't go too far with it, with mature content, then I'm able to do it. Just depends on the limitations. Twitch, on the other hand, is like, no, you can't have nudity unless it's in like a video game. And I'm like, okay, sure. I mean, it would have been okay to do, but people were stupid during that one day where it's like, oh, you can show nudity on Twitch, and I was like, I will wait. And sure enough, people fucked it up in less than 24 hours. And I was just like, you fucking idiots. Let's get rid of that. Loose shirt. And slip down on this side. Let's see, how long has this song been going for? 11 minutes? Yeah, we can change this up now. I'll go between like 10 or 15 minutes for these songs, since they're the extended versions. Alright, let's erase some details that we don't need. I use Clip Studio, and I've been pretty much just been using the real G pen the entire time. Like, I have a whole bunch of other pens that I've downloaded over time, but for the most part I just use the real G pen that comes by default. Like, maybe I'll use the other pens if I need to do something specific, but most of the time I've just been using the default G pen, or real G pen. And yeah, I do use Clip Studio Paint. For me, the real G pen gives me the feel that I'm looking for when I draw traditionally. Because I like drawing like the rough look. From what I've heard Dark Ages kind of feels like a watered down version of the previous two games. But yeah, like definitely getting amped up from the previous two games is definitely a good idea. Because you'd be like, yeah, let's do this, and you just sit there and draw something freaking metal, and like, oh god, yeah, it's so sick. Yeah, like let me use the normal G pen. So like with the Jesus. Turn down that size. So I should probably save this. It'd probably be smart to do. So yeah, let me just save this before I mess around. Let's call this Pumice 2. V2. There we go. I'll just do this on another layer just to be safe. So, like, this is the normal G pen, and it's not awful. It just feels, I don't know, like for me it feels a little too smooth. And plus, you know, like the edges for it is pretty round to begin with. Like, there's nothing wrong with it necessarily. Like, if this was the brush that I had to use, I could find ways to make it work. Like, you know, just lighten up on my, you know, pressure and stuff like that, and blah blah blah. Like, I could find ways to make it work if I really wanted to. But it just wasn't like the brush I wanted to use. And then this is the real G pen, where the real G pen just feels more like sketchy, like it has that rough sketch look that I like. And I just like it more. And if there's like some details I want more, I can just like, you know, push it more and increase my pressure on it and stuff like that, or whatever details that I want to do to it. So yeah, like, it's just a matter of preference. And surprise, Joanne. Yeah, it's just a matter of preference, because like what works for me may not work for you. So definitely go with what feels right, and then go from there. Yeah, it's a prequel game, but even then, that doesn't mean you have to lessen the gore or remove mechanics that you came up with in the previous two games just because the game is a prequel. That doesn't make any sense. Like, there are plenty of games that are prequels but still improve on the mechanics of the original games. Like, I mean, just look at Kingdom Hearts, for example. Like, Kingdom Hearts 1, originally you had to like scroll through all of your options in order to get Sora to use, you know, special abilities, with the occasional, you know, hot buttons that you could do. But then in Birth by Sleep, which takes place before Kingdom Hearts 1, they gave you like a better spell system where you can just scroll really quickly, use the abilities, it has a cooldown or whatever, that's fine. You can have multiple versions. It also carries over the reaction commands from Kingdom Hearts 2. So yeah, like Birth by Sleep is already a good example of that. But yeah, going back to the G-Pen though, like yeah, just go with whatever works for you. Yeah, like if the third Doom game is a good game still, that doesn't take away from it. It's just odd that they would remove mechanics or remove variety of mechanics and stuff like that when the previous games were perfectly fine to have them. So far I mostly use darker pencil for the sketching, then G-Pen for the life. I will tell you something, I do not sketch at all. I just go for it. I just go for it as I'm drawing. I cannot do the whole sketching phase thing. It annoys me. Cause like, for example, if this was gonna be like the sketch, for example, and let's just say the sketch was like really low on like that or whatever, I could just take this, copy it, and see how it got darker already just from copying it. Okay, well, let me rasterize it, that way I can make my point more clear. So let's do it this way, that way it'll work the way I want it to. Okay, so this is so by default it's already in a low opacity because it was a sketch or whatever. So if I just copied the sketch and then let's say I selected the lines, and then I think I just fill black. Yeah, I could fill in black to make it more darker for the lines if I really wanted to, or lessen all that. Or I could do the whole outer glow thing and then just change it black. Do it that way if I wanted to. I could select it, invert it, go over the lines, do black like that, so it looks like this or something. Like, there's so many options you have that can shortcut that. I just personally don't like going redrawing the lines I just fucking did, just to make them more like smooth or cartoony. I'm like, fuck that, I just want to draw. so I purposely just draw from the get-go. And because I like the rough look, it doesn't bother me at all with it being clean. Like, unless there's like a very specific detail that should be cleaner to be done on it, then I just completely ignore it. And sometimes I'll leave like mistakes on purpose, just because I was like, I'll leave that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like if you're trying to be consistent while making it more like cleaned up and stuff like that, then yeah, go for it. Like, do whatever works for you. Me, I'm just like, I cannot. I'm just like, I'm just gonna keep what I had and run with it. I mean, and it's bad enough that I don't start off with like the rough pose thing, where it's like, oh, you draw the head, you draw this, and then you slowly add in the details of what you want. So like, here's you bridge this, blah 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 blah. Keep going. Okay, now we're gonna do the nose. We're gonna rough that out. Now it's going like this. Up, here's the eyes, and then blah blah blah. Like, it's bad enough I don't do any of this, and I'm just fucking winging it for the most part. But that's because I've been winging it for years, and so I've gotten to the point where I can just see what I'm doing. without having to make like a complete rough of it. And true, like I can still like make a mistake and I'll have to like erase it or adjust it or whatever the case may be. But I'm more confident about the way I'm doing it because I've been doing it for so long. Like I've been drawing the way I've been drawing with, you know, adjustments over time since I was like, I want to say 13. And like I've been drawing since I was like 2, but in terms of like actually drawing my own characters and like learning or gaining a style over time type of thing, I've been doing it since I was like 13, maybe younger. So I just got used to the way that I draw. So far I've been doing outlines, so I can't for the life of me do that shading and lighting stuff that people do. You can fit that, like it's honestly not as difficult as it looks, and it definitely helps if you know, find reference. So like, let me see if I can find it on. Hold on, let me make sure you guys can't actually see this on stream. Let me see. Wait a few seconds to see if it shows up. So I'm gonna put my arrow right here. Let me see if it shows up on stream. Because I just want to make sure none of this is on stream. It shouldn't appear on stream, but I'm just making sure. Come on, I know there's like a 30-second or so delay. Now I'm just kind of waiting before I move on. I've tried asking a few people and they refuse to explain or tell me as if it's like some close guarded secret. No, it's not a close guarded secret. Hold on. Okay, so I'm assuming you can't see this because I don't see it showing up on the thing. Let me go to this. I mean, I have a shit ton of tutorials, but reference. I've got to wait for my drive to wake up. Alright, have a good night. Or morning, day. Have a good day. Okay, so where's the best example for this? I mean, you can technically use any example, but I'm just trying to find something that's more direct. Okay, we'll use this. Okay, so bring this over here. Okay, so for this, like, see how there's lighting on her face? So to do this up here. Alright, so this is quick. Basically, all you really need to focus on is where it's like, here's her face, blah blah blah. So all you really need to be focusing on is where the shadows are on her body. And then I can pause this. And then when you're shading, just, you know, pay attention to what areas the light is hitting and where it's not hitting. And then you go from there to, like, you know, she has like a little bit of shading on her lip. There's a little bit more here. And it's basically like just reference real life. Just understand how light functions and how shade is applied to that. And, like, you know, some areas would be darker than others type of thing. So it's better to just reference real life for the most part on that. Me, I'm the weirdo who just kind of, again, a lot of the times I'm winging shit because I either don't care or I'm trying to, like, streamline my process to the point where it's like I've gotten used to how I do things and that's why it works the way it works. Um, but referencing real life is your better option because it'll help you understand where everything goes. So like, see how her how the shadow is being casted on her shoulder. So like, if I did the rest of her body, here's her shoulder. So the shadows from are going, or the light source is from here. So this is why you have light on this side and you're having shadows on this side. So when it's being casted, you're seeing like the rest of her shoulder, blah blah blah. So because light is hitting this, the shadows are being casted like that, or at least at an angle. So like this one's a little bit more like here, and that's going like there. And if you want, you can even be a little bit more generous in saying that the shadows is going this way. But eventually the head is going to make a shape on the arm, and that's why you're getting it like that. And because this part of the body is getting the least amount of light, that's why this part would be a little bit darker than the rest. And then it spreads out a little bit more evenly. And granted, this little curve would probably be a little bit more inward to like here, for example. So if we're being really specific, it'd be more like this. And then, you know, so you're gonna have the hard light because the head is so close to the shoulder, so you're gonna have like a more defined shape. But as you can see on her shoulder over here, as light, or as the shadow gets further and further from the object, that's when you're starting to have it dissipate and it starts to like fade out. So you're getting the shape here because it's closer to the body, but it's definitely losing light. And then of course, you know, if you have like objects around the body, then it might lighten up some parts of it. So like, for example, this part of the shoulder might be a little bit lighter if there was like some object reflecting light onto it type of thing. But for the most part, just from this example, you're getting like a darker shape, or a darker shade. How do you do that thing where some areas are like brighter or shiny? Is that a lighter? Layering and shading. Okay, so let me break it down this way. You can technically do anything on one layer. So like, let me do this. So like, let me show you. For example, I'm just gonna do this kind of quick. So here is red. Here's how we add more depth to red. So, and this is me without like changing the brush. So we can do that to make one part of it lighter. And this is just me changing the shading, or like the shade colors, because like if I were to go more crazier, it'd be like I'd be using like white and black and all, but I'm just using just different shades of red right now. So here's that. If it has a little bit more depth because, you know, this side's lighter, this side's darker, so this is implying that that there's a light source. So without using like a soft brush and all that, if you wanted to show that white is trying to fade into the red, then all you do is just do a little bit lighter strokes, you know, just to show that fade. And then for dark, it'd be like the same thing. It'd be like just a little bit more faded to indicate the transition between one and the other. If you're trying to do something shiny, so for the light side, it'd be a little bit closer to white, maybe absolute white, depends on how shiny it is and how close it is to the light source. So I could do something like this, where it's like this big giant streak. You break it up because sometimes you have things that do that, or just like multiple light sources, or it's like, you know, different parts of the pattern or whatever material this is. And for like latex, sometimes you'd have like broken up pieces like that to kind of indicate that there's like wrinkles in the material. For like where the shadows are, because there's like a backlight or something. We'll just go with this just for the sake of it. So like back here, it's like because there's like some kind of backlight, you have something that goes on this edge or whatever the case may be. And then sometimes the light source is like a different color. So like, do that. So like for the light, it might have like a light edge around it or something. And granted, like using different layers will make this easier to do. But you can essentially do this. Like this is just me using one brush and trying to do all this, and I'm also not going into like heavy detail, which would be smart because like obviously like if I were to like say like, oh, this is a crease right here, then this is when you would start changing things up. Be like, all right, so then because there's a crease, that means this is appearing in some way, or the material changes, or you know, the surface of the object is changing, and thus the lights or the areas that are hit by light are also changing, and you're just paying attention to that. And because these surfaces are new areas, they're picking up light in different spots, so you'll have stuff like that going on. No joke, he broke this down easier and simpler in nearly 4 hours. Like I'm doing this very quick. Like I'm not the best at explaining this. And like if I were to tell you to watch a specific person about this stuff, just watch Bob Ross. He breaks this down very, very, very easily. And he'll start from like something as basic as like he'll draw something like this. And you're like, okay, it's obviously a tree, but it looks so fucking basic. But then like as he's going on, he'll do something like really, really, really simple where he's just like adding just, you know, areas that look like they should be in shadow, right? And he'll like add like stuff like this just to make it look like, okay, it's wood, so it's gonna have, you know, pieces of wood that aren't flat. Like wood is not a flat surface or a smooth surface. And then he'll like go into like the lighter details and stuff like that. And you'd be like, oh yeah, this is like a little bit lighter here, but not too much light, because you know it's not as close to the light source. And if you do want it to be closer, you just, you know, add a little bit more light to it. And like he'll make it really, 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 really simple. And then he'll get like a little bit crazier where it'll be like for example, if I were to use the color green, he'll say like, oh, because we're in the forest, this part of the shadows has a little bit more green to it because it's reflecting the grass that's on the ground, and that's why you're getting that type of thing. So he'll break it down really stupid easy. So I would heavily suggest watching Bob Ross videos, and they have like a whole channel for him on Twitch that you can watch, or you can probably find something on YouTube as well. So it's stuff like that. And like here's like another example of something really easy. So like would be helpful if you could actually see that. So like for example, here's a drop of water, and normally it'd be a little bit more clear, but we're doing this as an example. So like let's just say this part of the water is like the main part, and like the darkened part is the shadow of it, like the reflective part that you see inside of a water drop. So you can get all technical and be like, okay, so you're seeing some kind of object in here, and that's why you're having this stretched out image of something. Something's in here, maybe it's curved, whatever. Something's like shadowed out. Then you get to the light part, and then it's just something like this. You add that. Here's where the light is being bent, blah blah blah. And then go down here, and that's because it has like its own reflectiveness that's going on. Like you can do something like that. Like, and again, this is just me using one brush and doing it on one layer and just going because I understand it. But the way Bob Ross teaches it is you just break it down by progression and shapes, because what you think looks complicated, just break it down into shapes. So like for example, with the woman over here, I'll go over here for this, and I'll do this on another layer. So with the woman, for her, smaller brush, all you're really doing for, like, let's just say her arm, for example, all this is a cylinder attached to another cylinder that's like a slightly different shape with this like ball joint technically in the middle because that's how where her elbow would be. And then this is just, here's this shape attached to this shape, this square, attached to more cylinders. That like that's like the best way to put it, is just look at something and break it down into shapes and objects, because that just helps out your whole understanding of it. Because like most people is like, okay, here's her body and it's broken down into a box because, you know, this would be like the shoulders and stuff like that. But then when you start getting more technical, it's like, okay, her breasts are somewhere over here or something, and that's their own unique shape. Or like technically they're teardrops because they have weight and stuff like that. And then the same thing goes for her head. So like, here's her head, here's this, break these down, break this down. Like, when you understand what you're looking at, it gets a lot easier. It's like, oh, here's the eyebrows, and that's their own shape because they can move. But obviously, you're not gonna draw every little detail that happens on the body. You're gonna decide what needs to be seen, what doesn't. So, like for example, if I wanted to focus on like age or something, I would draw like the cheekbones or something, or maybe add crow's feet on the eyes. You know, you're gonna break down things into the things that are most important. And when you're doing it over and over and over and over and over, you're gonna understand that over time. So yeah, like, it's like, just look at objects, understand what you're looking at, break it down, so that way it's easier to see and get, and then you're pretty much fine. I don't need her anymore. But that's pretty much how it works. One more question, sorry, but okay, well, for traditional art, you obviously want to start light. Like, you don't want to just go like, are we on the stimuli? Yeah, we don't want to just go like, for example, let me just draw this real quick. Blah blah. Okay, so for traditional, you don't want to just go like, this is all dark because he's in a dark shadow, blah 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 blah. I mean, you could do it that way. It's a stylistic choice, because obviously depending on the scenario would decide whether or not you would even do that in the first place. But normally you would start off pretty light, because going into shadow is usually a gradual thing depending on the light source. Because like, it all depends on what your reference of the light source is, because the further away light is, the more altered shadows get, but the closer the light source is, the more harsh things would get. Like, that's usually how it's broken down. But like, usually you start light, you'd work your way towards the more darker areas until you're at a point where it's like, okay, this should be dark enough. But what you don't want to do is do absolute black, because unless you're in a room that has very little to no reflective light, or you're just literally in a pitch black room, you're not going to have something that's absolute black, because there's always going to be something that's reflecting some sort of light in the area. So like, for example, let's just say here's the floor, and the floor is purple or pink for some reason. even if the light source is over here and it's casting a shadow, some of the floor is going to reflect some of that light in some way, and so some of it will be bouncing off onto the character just a bit, depending on how close they are to the floor and stuff like that. It's all just reflective. Like if you look at the real world, just look around you and you'll find plenty of things that are like, okay, these objects are not next to the light bulb, but I can clearly see that they're bouncing off of my phone or my computer or whatever. Like, look at the objects around you, and it kind of has that. The problem I'm having with my tool, at least, is the airbrush. I'm doing so in an area like a double up. Hard to know without looking at it, but like, let me use an airbrush. Or actually, let me do this. So let me clear this. I don't know why I didn't do this from the start. So you got a circle, not the best circle in the world, but here it is. And then if I were to use the brush tool, or the airbrush tool, alright, so let me move this down a bit. So my light source is over here, big old whatever, and then this will be the ground. Or technically this is the ground, just pretend it's in 3D, that way we can make more sense of this. So here's the light. Because the light source is over here, we're gonna get this. So here's the light. And then because light is not going to reach all of this, this is why we get shade, or we get shadow. And we're trying to make it, like, you know, as close to the sphere as possible. Like, it's not always going to be perfect, so don't like stress over that all the time. Because we have the floor itself, or because we have the object itself, the object is casting a shadow. How long is that shadow is kind of up to the shape for the most part, but like, try to get it close to where you think it would be realistically. Like, you may not always be correct, but, you know, just try to put in the effort of its general shape. And then, basically, the closer to the object here, like, so, as we're getting closer to the actual object, that's when you're getting less light. So, the darkest parts of this object would probably be, like, around here, because that's where light can, like, absolutely not touch it. And then the shadow itself, because there's objects around, so like, let's just say the ground is green for grass or something. So I'm just gonna blah blah blah, this is grass. And this is all in one layer too, so I'm not even like going crazy about it. So because we have this green is also getting light splashed on it. So because that is a thing, because you're getting reflective light from the grass, that means some of this object will have green being reflected on it, because that is a form of light being cast on it. It may not. Sometimes it could be extreme, sometimes not. Sometimes it could be just as low as like, okay, you're seeing some green on it. And so that's basically what you're getting. And how dark it is, again, that depends on your light source. But if you're like making up your own light source and you're trying to be somewhat realistic with it, just adjust it. If you think it's too dark, then just make it lighter. Like, there's technically no wrong answer unless you're really, really, really trying to be 100% realistic. And then at that point, that's when you should probably be looking at real life references to kind of get as close to what it is as you're looking for. Or if you understand light at that point, then you can try to make it realistic, while still, you know, tossing in things that wouldn't actually happen in real life, or, you know, you're adding in details that don't normally show up in real life. So there are both realistic ways of going about this and you know, stylistic ways of going about it. So like technically this would be a little bit more shadowed, just so it's more gradual. But yeah, like that's basically all you're really doing, is just understanding how light functions by just looking at objects in real life. So like, for example, if you have like a lamp or something, just take a ball or a can and just put it in front of the light and see how it affects objects around it, or how objects around it affect it. And that's pretty much it, really. And again, I know I'm not the best at explaining this because I don't normally explain any of it. I just, you know, went through the years of art stuff, and you know, I took some classes and stuff like that. Well, I mean, I went to college for it, but although the college wasn't for what I wanted to do, but it was for a whole other thing. It was for 3D, but still, like, it still applies to the same thing. Like, it's all the same study. But yeah, it's just understand how light bounces off of objects or affects objects, and just look at real life for reference, whether it's just stuff around your room or even just pictures of like buildings or a forest or something like that, and just understand how it works and understand how reflective light and transparent light works and all that, and how light goes through objects that are thin. So like, you know how you, when you put your hand next to a light bulb or something, you can see through your hand to a certain degree, and that's because you know, your skin is thin enough for light to eventually pass through if it's close enough. Helps a lot, thanks. Oh, you're welcome. Hopefully I wasn't too confusing, because I know I was kind of all over the place, but yeah, hopefully that helped. And again, like, if you're going for like a certain style, sometimes the stuff you learn doesn't even apply. For example, like at least in for these type of characters, the Creamfield characters, because the comic they're from is mostly flat colored, a lot of the shadows and stuff like that don't really apply to them. It only applies if I intend to use shadows on them for a specific reason, and then I care about what's going on. But for the most part, you're not even gonna, or depending on how you're going about it, some of the stuff you learn isn't really gonna apply. But it's good to learn it, because learning things like anatomy and how light works and stuff like that, the whole point of learning it is so that, one, you can understand it and use it to your benefit for whenever you're trying to make scenes more interesting, and two, so you can break it, so you can exaggerate and move it around and stuff that doesn't normally work. So like, for example, one more example, so like, you're drawing a person's arm, and here's like their muscle, elbow, forearm, and blah blah blah. So you're drawing that, but then you'll have characters that are like Looney Tunes, who do like the rubber hose thing. So you have that. Do this. So you have this, and then you'll also have characters who would just have arms like this, which is like pretty much the same idea. These 3 points still exist, even though they're drawn in a different way. So the whole point is to understand that, and then you'll be able to break it. It made more sense. Well, good. I'm glad I at least helped with something. And then the same thing can go for like this. Like, you can draw something with like this weird, bizarre arm, but the same ideas still apply here. It's like, this is assuming this is the start. So like, here's the shoulder. Here are multiple elbows because it's all got all wiggly, and then here's the end. Like, it's all the same thing. You just gotta understand. You have to understand the source first, and then you're able to break it, so you can make it more interesting. Wow, really? Did we actually go through the whole thing? Oh no. No, that was 10 minutes though, so I'll just kind of keep going. But yeah, the whole idea is that you learn anatomy so you can eventually distort and break and warp it and stylize it to your liking. because like there are plenty of people who have learned like high detail anatomy, and then they go down and just make like cartoon characters or characters that ignore some of that anatomy. Because like you can have like, you know, a normal person anatomy, and then you have Sonic the Hedgehog. So it's just like, okay, it's like, does Sonic follow the normal points of a head? Probably not. So it's like, you know, you can do whatever you want. He still has shoulders and arms and all that, but he definitely doesn't follow normal human anatomy. It's like he's got like the noodle legs. He's just got a round body and stuff like that. He doesn't have like the full, like, up here's the skeleton, and then you gotta draw the stomach part, and then that goes into the pelvis, and the pelvis is in a particular shape because, you know, the legs go into here and blah 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 blah. It's like you can still understand all this, but some of this you're just probably either not going to use or it's not going to be as detailed. So it's like, basically that's basically it. That's the best I can tell you, is just understand the source, and then that allows you to break it later down the line. Anyway, I hope that helped. I pretty much run out of things to say. And I know I was repeating myself like 80 times, so sorry about that. But yeah, Bob Ross is definitely a good way to look at how to break things down and leading into being detailed when it comes to artwork. You're welcome. But yeah, I am not a good teacher. Okay, did all that. Add to this a little later. Alright, I want your hair back. It's easier to do it this way first. Have a good day. Take care. Let me just see. Okay, live has shown up. Cool. Just making sure that the stream wasn't just going into the ether. How do you picture a Gilf Marcy looking? Probably. I mean, obviously she'd have the gray hair. She'd have some gray, either all gray hair or some gray hair. You know, make her look a little bit more worn. Her fat would probably be a little bit more detailed on her in terms of like sagging and stuff like that, because you know the body can only do so much even with Skylar's influence. So it would just depend on where I'd want to take it to show her age. Like, I'd probably show that Skylar's cooking has been still good for her, so she probably won't look as worn, but she'll probably look like good for her age. Yeah, this definitely looks better already. I mean, if I do draw it, it'll probably just be on my own. I don't have a problem drawing her normally like that, or drawing her like that. Maybe like I'll probably wait a bit before I draw Marcy again, because I've drawn her several times or recently already. But yeah, I don't see a problem drawing her as a Gilf. Basically, just boils down to me remembering to draw her. I will sell my kidneys. Like, no, you can't do that. You need those. Alright, just change up the music. Was I think you need them? I don't even know anymore. Half the time it's like, oh yeah, you can live without this. I was like, really? There we go. Somewhat copying what I already did in the original. Have her a little bit bags in her eyes. Oh, I'm sorry that happened. Yeah, PayPal. Well, PayPal is weird because MasterCard and Visa are weird. Because their whole thing is that they're trying to say, like, oh, we won't allow you to buy, like, Japanese risque content or risque content in general, depending on what it is. But then they're okay with being able to spend money on OnlyFans. So it's like, okay, now you're just being either super biased or racist, or I don't know what it is they're trying to do, because it's like they're trying to pretend that they're all family friendly, and it's like, no, you're not. Stop dictating what people can spend their money on, and let people spend their money on whatever it is the hell they want to spend their money on. Your job is to be the middleman, that is it. You're not supposed to decide what I do with my money. Because for a while there was a point in time where it was like, oh, you can't use Patreon for PayPal, which is really fucking stupid. I'm just gonna put that down there just because. Break that up. There we go. I can draw the red thread afterwards. Okay. All that's left is her tail. Give her a thick tail. Probably keep it a little thick for a moment over here. Yeah, I'm sure he's probably had issues with her size, at least in the beginning. And then I'm pretty sure most of the time he's probably the one that's on top of her. But I would say for like their more friskier days, it would be her on top. And he's like, alright, I better take the next couple days off after this. But logically, it would make more sense that he would be on top of her. Hello, hello. Getting close to getting ready to color her. Just trying to align a few things up. And some of these lines look a little too thick, so I'm gonna erase some of it. I want to give her more jewelry, so let's put a ring on this finger. Nothing fancy, just in the middle. And tighten that up a little bit. Okay, pretty much good. Just add the lines on her tail. Alright, so this is the new version of her so far. Now the color. Luckily, the way I draw these characters, I don't have to worry about selecting the wrong colors. So this won't take very long. Why is there a gap open? For the most part, I don't do commissions anymore. It's just, I don't know, it just doesn't gel with me that often. But I am thinking of reopening again. I just don't know when. But at the same time, I don't want to promise that I'm gonna reopen either, because again, it's more of a I had to be in the mood to want to do so type of thing. And for the most part, I'm kind of like meh. So if I just randomly decide to be open for commissions just because I felt like doing so at the time, but for the most part, I would just say I'm kind of done doing commissions, because a lot of the time, a lot of the commissions just feel real samey, or what's the best way to? I mean, uninspired doesn't exactly sound right, but it's almost like the closest enough word for it. It honestly just makes drawing feel like a chore, and like more often than not is just something I don't really want to do. But like I'm not like 100% against it, which is the weird part. So part of me wants to say that there's a chance that I'll open for it, but the chances is very, very, very low because of my feelings towards it. Yeah. It could also be like once you get typecast into a certain audience, and that's all you get for commissions and stuff like that, it kind of just saps the enjoyment out of it because you're no longer drawing a variety of things, you're just drawing the same exact thing over and over. Because a lot of people forget that I draw other things than just weight gain art, and it's not so much to be like, oh, I want people to remember that I draw other things type of thing. It's more just, nah, I'm good. I think I'll draw other things because I want to type of thing. And still, I still draw weight gain art because I like it, but I don't want that to be like the sole thing that I do. Which is why I do the collection art, and the collection art is like varied stuff. And yeah, sure, I'll lean towards the weight gain stuff because I know that's the bread and butter. Like, I'm not gonna lie to myself and be like, no, I can do this without weight gain art, which I probably could over time if I just 100% focused on it. Like, sure, but I still like it myself, so I'm not gonna be like, no, I'm just gonna straight up not like it because I don't want that to be my identity, blah 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 blah. It's just more of like, hey, I like variety. I want to draw other things too. Whether it be characters turning into robots or robot characters or aliens or characters laying eggs, being pregnant, whatever the hell I feel like doing. I just like more things than just doing the same thing over and over and over and over. But luckily I still like it. So as long as I'm drawing it for me and not like drawing it for other people, then it doesn't kill my enjoyment of drawing the theme. So that's why I stopped doing commissions, because I felt that commissions were ruining my enjoyment of the theme. If that makes sense. And let's add this to her poems. Well, no, it's not so much people were saying that I only do that. They were just assuming that that was all I did. Like, nobody was telling me to not draw other things or anything like that. It was just people just assumed that I only drew that kind of artwork, even though I never stopped drawing other things. It just became like, well, because weight gain art was the majority, that became like the typecasting type of thing. So yeah, I was basically just being typecast. And again, like, personally, I could care less about what other people think, whether they think I'm just a weight gain artist or not. I know that I specifically am not just a weight gain artist. I draw a bunch of other stuff, but it's also just, I want to draw all different things, which is why I stopped doing commissions, because I want to draw more things for me. Which has always been the case in general. Like, all the stuff that I've been drawing outside of commission stuff, it's just been stuff that I enjoy. And if other people enjoy it, cool, they can come along for the ride. That's why I've had people say, like, even though they don't necessarily enjoy weight gain art or fat art or whatever, they've told me that they enjoy the characters, and that's why they stuck around. So I'm like, good. If my characters are what's keeping you around, then that's even better than just the theme. Because again, if they didn't enjoy weight gain art, but they enjoy the story and all that, and it just happens to have weight gain art in it, and they stuck around despite that, then cool. I've done something different. I've done my job of getting your attention through other means. And so I just want to keep that as my thing. It's like, okay, just draw whatever I like and stick to it. And if I happen to feel like in the mood to draw somebody gigantic and fat, then there you go, we're gonna get that. Came for the fat, stayed for the Viro. And there's nothing wrong with that either. It's like, if you came for the weight gain art, cool. I'm glad you like it. I'm glad you like my stuff. And if you just happen to like the characters because of the weight gain art, then cool. I mean, like, switching them around doesn't change much. It just changes your reasoning for being here. That's pretty much it, really. I'm just glad that you stuck around for this long. It's like, cool. I don't suck so much that people are like, oh, look at this, and just leave, and then that's it. And it's funny, like, I've had like different things come up throughout the years, so it's like, some people didn't like the violence and gore that I draw. Some people don't like the weight gain stuff. Some people don't like that I draw furries all the time. Some people don't like that I draw humans every once in a while. Like, there's always something, and at the end of the day, it's just draw whatever the fuck you want. No sense worrying about what other people like and dislike. It's like, look, I'm drawing this for me. If you don't like it, that's cool, but I'm not gonna baby you into figuring out what you like. Like, it is not my job to cater to one person. And in the early days, I did make that mistake of catering, because that's kind of why we have cream-filled characters in the first place, was because I was trying to cater to the weight gain audience. And personally, that was a mistake. But that doesn't mean I don't like cream-filled. Just something to learn from. It's like, alright, even though I have these characters for the wrong reasons, I still like them. I just had to be better about it, and now I am. And hey, I got a whole bunch of other characters out of it, so win-win for me. And we can switch this song, because this song's been on for a while now. Sure, I got everything on her. Like, if I was commissioned to draw like old Marcy or anything else, like, I'll still give it my all. Like, I'm not gonna like purposely lack on the quality or my ability just because I may or may not like the theme. It's more about just the idea of commissions in of themselves that was taking away the fun, because the mentality would be like, okay, I wake up in the morning, oh yeah, I gotta work on that thing or on that commission, and it's gonna be like in the back part of my mind. So like even if I wanted to do something else, I have the lingering commission in the back of my head, and it's not so much of like, oh no, I gotta do work type of thing. It's just more like, it just feels like what's the best way to phrase it? Not so much like a shackle or an anchor. I don't know. It's just like, it's kind of like when you when you go to work and you just have like that overwhelming dread above you for like almost no reason. Like even if your job is great and there's like nothing realistic to worry about, like you're not sitting there going like, you know, oh no, I gotta go to work, I gotta worry about X task or something. It's like nothing like that. It's just excuse me. It's just this weird like looming. I guess again, dread would have to be the word for it. It's just this looming feeling that I don't like from knowing that I have a commission to do. Oh, and like my creative flow. I mean, I can get into the creative flow of drawing a guild version of Marcy at any point if I'm like super in the mood, especially if something just sparks the thought in general. It'd be like, oh yeah, I gotta totally draw it like that. Like I can get myself into the spirit of it. It's just when discussing like doing commissions and all that, it was just more of like, I don't know, it just felt like something like a task that I would ultimately have to do rather than just go into the flow to do. But if I was paid to do something, I'm not gonna not be in the mood to draw it type of thing. Like I can get myself in the mood, whatever it is. But yeah, it's more of a mental thing, if the best way to put it. It's just more of like a mental, not even a struggle, just like a mental anchor. Or like a shackle type of thing. It's like, damn. It's like, damn, I gotta work on this because it's been X amount of hours or X amount of days. But yeah, it's just a personal thing. It's like nothing against the people that commission me or anything like that, but again, like a lot of times I get commissioned to do the same thing over and over, and that's what was sucking the fun out of it. Because before I was drawing iHat and all that, I was being commissioned to just draw characters or like updated versions of somebody's character where they had like an old design, and I just drew it the way that I thought it would look cool and stuff like that. And I would do that, or I would draw the risque stuff too and all that. So it was just one of those things where those days kind of drifted away and it just became nothing but weight gain stuff the entire time. And then that's what was sucking the fun out of it. And then aside from that, there would also be days where I would get commissioned to do something, but whatever the person was asking me to do contradicted itself. So like, for example, they would say, I want to commission you to draw somebody from the front, but then they would want me to draw something that you could only see from like a back view, but like at the same time as the front view. And I'm like, that's impossible. Like, I could draw it, sure, but it wouldn't look good. And I would have to like explain that to people. That would always be a task, because I would sit there and listen and read what they want me to do, and whenever I read that message is whenever I read that. So I would reply with, hey, can't do that because of whatever contradicting reasons. And then I'd have to sit there and wait for them to reply. And that's just more time trying to figure out whether or not I'm going to be getting this commission or not. Or if the commissions are closed because or reopened because of this scenario. So it just became less and less fun over time. Yeah, and sometimes getting commissions where I'm just left to do my own creative thing is fine as well. But sometimes you also want to take commissions where the person knows exactly what they want from you, so that way you don't have to sit there and think about it. Because especially if you don't know enough about their character, then it's like you gotta like try to figure out what would make their character cool or interesting, or what pose would make the most sense. Because like, let's just say somebody gave you a tomboy character, but you didn't know that they were a tomboy, and so you drew them like in a very sexy pose, or like something that is out of character for that particular character. And then when you send them the sketch or whatever the case may be, the person's like, no, they're supposed to be a tomboy, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, well, you didn't tell me any of that. And then you gotta go back and redraw it, which that is a whole other discussion where you have to be careful of people trying to rip you off by getting you to draw multiple sketches of something. So that's a whole trap in of itself. So because people nowadays have to be like, hey, I'm only gonna redraw the picture one time because, you know, they don't want to get sketch sniped. Yeah, it's just a whole domino effect of stuff, and unfortunately it's just stuff that people have, or like shady people have done over time, where like on the customer side I can understand their frustrations, because you'll have people that say, oh yeah, I'll do your commission, and then they already get paid to do the commission, but then they don't start the commission, and then they keep taking more commissions, and then you see like this giant laundry list of like 50 people on a commission list, assuming there even is a list, and then you see that you're somewhere on the list, but then you keep getting bumped up or bumped down depending on the situation. And there are some shady artists who say like, oh well, this person paid more, so I'm doing their commission first. And that doesn't make sense, because if you paid for your commission first and then some new person shows up and their commission is getting worked on just because they paid more money, that doesn't make sense. You should be getting your commission done first, and then that person after you. And then some people don't even get their commissions for years, so there's that. Luckily, they can kind of solve this problem by, you know, going to their bank to try to clear the scenario where it's like, well, I paid for this, it's been this long, I want my money back. And for the most part, banks will help you. Like, there's hardly a time where banks won't. But then you have the problem with people taking advantage of that, where people will pay for a commission, get the commission, and then they'll call the bank and get their money back. So you have to worry about that bullshit. So it's just a ginormous headache, and I would rather not deal with that bullshit. And I know some people have tried to do that with my art sets. Some people have tried to get money back after they've gotten the artwork, but luckily I'm able to actually fight that, because it's like, no, they downloaded it, and they downloaded it this many times, they paid for it themselves. So luckily there's protection against bullshit like that. But it's annoying that you have to do that in the first place. Yeah, if you're going through that right now, you need to get on their ass about it, because that's your money that you spent. You should get however much you should get back for like the sketch price. So let's just say the full drawing is $100, but they normally charge like $30 for a sketch. You should get the other $75 back and just be done with it, if they're gonna be pulling that bullshit. Yeah, that sounds like it's gonna be bad. You might also want to see like there's a website called Artist Beware, or it's either Artist Beware or Beware of Artists, something like that. You can sometimes people like that are on a list, so you might want to find out if they're on that list or not. Because unfortunately, there are artists that do that pull that shady shit. And if worst case scenario, if they like keep dodging you over and over and over, then just go to your bank for your money back, because it's way better than just dealing with that kind of bullshit. But yeah, like I would say contact them one more time, and even tell them, hey, it's been this long for whatever you commissioned them for, and even point out that you've seen them post for like other people after the fact or whatever the case may be, and just say like, hey, if I don't get my commission in however much time you allow them to have, then just say you're gonna request a refund. And either they can give you the refund, or you'll go through your bank with whatever method you have to go through. You're like deep red eyeliner and makeup. Cause I was gonna make it black, but I was like, nah. Yeah. Do whatever you gotta do that feels justified. Because you should not be waiting half a year for a commission. Like obviously it'd be different if it was like somebody making you a costume or something. Like for me personally, I allow like at least 6 months for certain things like that. Like my like the Falcon mask that I have. That one in particular took 2 years, but that was because of COVID. So I was completely understanding about that. And then they got it done. They sent it to me. It looked great. I didn't have any problems. So for that one, I was super lenient on. All the rest have taken like 6 months or less. Like the Common Rider mask and armor that I got, that took about 2 months. Technically, it was like 1 month, but it took like 2 months to get to me because of mail and all that. But that's because they modeled it, they printed it out with a 3D printer, they made the actual armor part with like with foam and stuff like that. So they did the job, and they did a great job, and I would highly recommend them. Which is why I put their link in my description on when I posted it, the pictures of it. So yeah, like I understand if cosplay and other costume related stuff takes a long time to do. So I always leave them like 6 months just because I understand. Drawing and commissioning them is for my Transformer OC and their car mode, and that's all. Yeah, and like if you're like, even if your character was highly detailed, it should not take them fucking 7 months. I would even be generous and just say, okay, it'll take them a month to draw this, and that's being generous. It should not take them that long, realistically, though. Oh yeah, I forgot to draw the needle. I need to draw that. But yeah, being generous, it should not take them that long. And the only reason why I say give them like a month, or I would give them a month, is just because I understand. If I'm not like the first person on the commission list, sure. But after a certain point, it's like, okay, it should not take you this long. And even if it does somehow take them that long, they should not be commissioning or taking so many commissions if they can't do it in a timely manner. And that was like a mistake that I used to do, where like, or it wasn't so like I would take so many commissions that would take me forever to do. I was just taking too many commissions and getting burned out on them really quickly. So like if I did ever open up for commissions again, I'm definitely only gonna do like 3, and that's it. I'm not gonna do like the larger numbers that I've done before. And I always got them done in a timely manner. Like, usually I got them all done in like a week or 2. Like, I would say 2 weeks was like the most that it ever took me. And I think back then that was just because I had real life stuff to do. So I wasn't even like available to work on some stuff. Although I did bring my laptop with me, so I could work on some things when I had the chance. But yeah, like if you're feeling generous and decide to give them like one more chance to get your commission done, just send them a message, and again, let them know it's like, hey, it's been this long. If like you can allow them like an extra couple days or however if you feel like it, but you're more within your rights at this point to request a refund. But if you're feeling generous and giving them a heads up or a warning, that's on you. That's up to you to decide. But if not, just go ahead and get the refund. Hopefully there isn't like a time limit for that stuff, because sometimes some company will be like, well, it's been 6 months or whatever, so the answer is no or something. But if there isn't, then yeah, do whatever comes to mind. Okay, so did all of that. All that's left is the bags in her eyes and the red thread. Yeah, for a while I had a commission tier as well. I had 3 slots, and it was like $100 a month type of thing, and basically I would just draw 3 commissions a month for whoever wanted the spots. But then once I was done with wanting to do commissions, I did their commissions like one more time, and then I removed the tiers because I was like, nah, I'm done. I don't want to do that anymore. There we go. And last is the threads. The question is, do I want to match what stitches I had on her? Damn, we almost listened to the whole half an hour of this. Was I rambling that long? You would 100% choose me. Well, good to know. Yeah, at least with the collector's art, it's more like, okay, here's a chance to get some artwork that I'm putting up for a limited time for cheap, and then if you miss out on it, it shows up in the $50 tier. And then I'm debating on if it's gonna stay in the $50 tier forever type of thing, or if I'm gonna eventually remove it. But for the time being, they're all still up there. I mean, if I do decide to remove them, I'm definitely gonna put up a warning. But yeah, it's like, here's artwork. It's for cheap. You can get it if you want. If you don't, that's cool. And then yeah, just try to have stuff available for people who don't want to pledge on Patreon. I should probably draw her color down a bit. Actually, I don't want that one to be there. Stitches don't have to be perfect. I'm just deciding if I want X's on certain spots or not. Which means we don't need this one either. For a Gelf collection. Well, like I said, maybe I'll probably do that at some point. It just boils down to me remembering to do it. Because I don't have a problem drawing Gilfs. I'll do one of Marcy, and I don't know who the other one would be. We'll figure it out when we get there. I mean, I have other older characters other than Marcy, so I'll probably pick one of them along with Marcy, just for the hell of it. I'll just have to look through my list and be like, alright, who do I feel like calling? Oh yeah, I still need to put the clothing stuff. Blake or Skylar's sister. We'll see. I don't know who they'd be, who I'd pick. But whenever I decide to work on that, that's when I'll find out what mood I'm in for what character. Like, I'll definitely make one of them Marcy, so that one's non-debatable. That one's just gonna be 100% a pick. The other one will be up in the air. And just so this isn't absolute black. Jet. Almost forgot the whole reason why I made this layer. There we go. Trying not to make it too prominent. Yeah, I don't know when I'll do that set, but it won't be for a good while because I've already used Marcy like 3 times. Let me see how many times in a row has she shown up recently. There it is. Let's see. Because she was in the last collector set already. So that's 1. She was there another set previously. And then she was there for the big and small. And then I used her for the Mother's Day one too. So yeah, she's shown up like 4 times in a row already. The wait would be worth it. I'll say at least 3 more collector sets before I draw it. So at least let there be 3 other ones. That way I can use different characters. And if I forget after 3, just remind me and I'll do it the next one. After whatever one that I do that ended up skipping it. Just be like, hey, you forgot to do the Gilfs. I'll be like, oh yeah. I'll be like, my bad, I'll do it. textures. Is it this one? No. I want the other one. I could go for fishnet. You know what? I don't think I've done a fishnet version of this, so let's do fishnet. This will be interesting. There we go. Do I want it to be transparent though? Nah, this is fine. Alright. That's basically her. I just gotta do the usual them wearing black as somehow detailed for some unknown reason. I am going to steal Promise's background though. Put it on the new one. Give her a highlight so that way it's easier to see behind her. How'd I do that with the line thing? With the fishnets? Let me know if that's what you're asking. Oh, so at some point I got tired of well, I can still draw them in my hand if I want to, but at one point I got tired of drawing them in my hand. So I just found like a bunch of squares, or you can actually just make this yourself. So like, let me show you. So for example, if you wanted to, you could just draw these by hand and just make them like, you know, squares in a line and try to line them up so that way they're even, and then copy them so that way you don't have to draw all of them, just copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. So make them all in the squares. Then you can just turn the image to make it look like this. And as long as it's black and white, then this will work. So then you just carry it over to this. And then you just, let me unlink them. So this is what they are normally. You just change this to multiply, and there you go, because multiply only makes the white transparent and the black, you know, show up. And then because the image, the stocking that I have underneath here, I just link them together, so that way the fishnet will only show up on the layer that it's linked to, and then it's copying the transparency. So if I up the transparency to like 100%, it'll change with it. So I just have this at 60. And then there you go. Like, you can make your own fishnets really quickly. And if you don't, just find like a cage online and grab the image, turn it black, and you can do it that way, but it's really easy to just do it normally. Oh yeah, definitely work smarter, not harder. Yeah, for certain things. Like, if there's a way for you to cheat it, then do it. Obviously, don't like just steal an image and paste it on as your own type of thing, as a full image thing. But if you can take bits and pieces of something and then manipulate it into whatever you need it for, then yeah, do that. Clean this up on her. There we go. And if there's just something that you're having trouble drawing, then feel free. Like tracing is like not 100% frowned. It's only frowned if that's like the entirety of your image type of thing, like the entire thing is traced. But if you just need like, I can't get this angle of this hand correctly, then go ahead and draw over it, or draw over the reference. Like, no one's gonna be that super anal about it, and that's assuming they even find out you did it in the first place. I mean, obviously, don't make it so fucking obvious where people can be like, "Oh, I know where that's from. That's from Bleach or something." Like, don't be that stupid. But if you're having trouble with something, you know, trace it and then try to learn how to draw it in the future, so that way you won't have that problem. But if you like traced like a hand and then the rest of the drawing you drew yourself, that's no one's gonna give a shit. Like, there are some people who get all anal about poses, where it's like, hey, you need to reference where you got that pose from, and it's like, it's a fucking pose. There is no reference. It's like anybody could have gotten to that pose. Sometimes animators will like tell you a reference of where they got a particular animation shot from. Like, somebody will be like, oh yeah, this pose, like, or this animation pose, I got from like a video of somebody in this exact form. And then yeah, sure, you can reference that because that's a little bit more unique than just a stationary image. But that's just me on that matter. It's like, there are levels to it, but like, obviously you don't want to just 100% copy somebody. Just cleaning up certain parts of it. Yeah, most of the time if I'm trying to get like a particular pose or something, I'll just eyeball it. Because I want to learn what I'm doing wrong. There's something you want to see Plum wear. Okay, let's lower the glow on her a bit. Like 50 or 60. 60 looks good on her. Do I need this image to be bigger? No, because I might use this as a card in the future, so I'll leave it as this. That way it's easier to put on a card. So there's that. We'll just take this from the original. Thomas, your name. Where's your name? There it is. And it's fine. I don't need to be next to her. Alright. Save. Alright, so here's the original, and here's the new one. And again, I'm not going to scrap the original, I'm going to use it as like a big puppet that the new one can use to pretend that she's taller or something. I'll probably make it more obvious that it's a doll than just looking 100% like her. So I'll probably like change the eyes to look more like dead, maybe make the skin more gray type of thing, or pale. And then I don't know, maybe I'll have flies hovering around the puppet to indicate that it's a corpse. Baku Haku, maybe? Let me see. Can't say I have. Their artwork aren't ringing any bells. If I have seen something of theirs, it was probably like just a random piece of art, but nothing to link me to their stuff. Oh yeah, when it comes... sorry, I just now saw this comment. Yeah, when you get to patterns, it's easier to make the pattern itself and then put it on the image, and then you can use the warp tool to try to like form it or put it into form around the curves of the character and stuff like that. If you want, most people just put the pattern on and then leave it flat. But I mean, you can manipulate it any way you want. But yeah, it's easier to just make a pattern and then that's the pattern, unless it's just easier to draw it yourself. Sure. You can DM it to me real quick on Discord, and I'll take a look at it real quick. And I'm about to stop pretty soon. I'm about to stop the stream in a bit. Let's see. Yeah, I've seen those outfits before, or something similar. I could see her wearing one of those at some point. You're welcome. Maybe like that guy from The Simpsons. But yeah, anyway, thank you for coming. Like I said, I'm going to be trying to stream more often. Well, I'll try to stream when I can, because sometimes there are just some stuff that I can't stream. Mostly because it's risque stuff. But whatever I can, I'll stream. I'm gonna try to stream again tomorrow, or it'll be today technically. At the same time, probably won't be as long. It'll probably be like 2 hours. But yeah, I'm gonna just try to make it a point to stream more often. And yeah, just go on from there. But I'm definitely gonna be working on the webtoons thing. I'll say I'll probably just work on episode 4 at least until I find out whether or not I'm even moving on, because I don't want to waste time working on something that I don't need to be working on right now. And then the short promise is the real one. And then I'm gonna spend more time working on like I Had Secrets, and then get ready for to continue Volume 2 and Black Circus. And then once Secrets is over, I will likely just stay focused on I Had 2 and Black Circus for now. And then once my slate is clean on that, working on those two, I'll work on another Secrets and try to be a little bit more speedy with the updates on that. Because the only reason why it took so long right now is because of the contest thing. I was not planning on the contest being a thing this year. And then I'm also going to work on I Had 10th anniversary stuff, and then the Hetty versus Marcy thing at some point. I don't know when I'm going to work on that, but I definitely want to get started on that pretty soon. As soon as I get my Patreon, see what I missed in the last stream. Yeah, take your time, you know, whatever's going on, just focus on yourself first. Like, that's always going to be a thing to do. Me, I'll be around as long as the internet allows, and whatever bullshit bank accounts allow me to keep making my shit. But I'll do what I can. But yeah, thank you everybody for coming. I will see you guys again, hopefully tonight, unless I say otherwise. And Jane taking against the table. And I'll see you guys later, alright? Have a good night. Bye-bye.